On today's show, remember all those homework assignments I gave Fontana yesterday? Well, we're going to actually do that today. That's next. Locked on Cavs.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? My name's Danny Cunningham. You might know me from my time covering the Cleveland Cavaliers, places like my Substack, The Inside Shot, Cleveland Magazine, 92.3 The Fan, and of course, a number of other stops along the way. Joined again today by Matt Fontana from Big Play, ESPN Radio, 97.1 The Fan in Columbus, and also a lot of stops, and you might know him from just being some guy that used to host a radio show with me Monday through Friday from 5 to 7 in the afternoon. But as we get started here, I just want to say thank you for making Locked on Cavs your first listen today, yesterday, tomorrow, every single day, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. And if you're watching on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button for me, click subscribe, and hit that notification bell as we get started here on this Friday edition of Locked on Cavs. In today's episode, brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Again, that is $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Matt, I gave you homework assignments Wednesday night. You didn't do them. So now you were like the kid that
we'll do them live. We'll do it live.
Struggling to get through his test in school. We talked about our one trade target, and we went through a number of different names that could maybe be in play for the Cavs. The next assignment I gave you was one bench player on the Cavs that you would like to see not on the Cavs next year, whether it's letting somebody walk in free agency because there are a couple of guys that are free agents, Ty Jerome, Sam Merrill, certainly among them, or you want this guy traded away. Who is it?
So I'm going to walk through it of guys I don't want to see go. I don't want to see Dean Wade go. I think he provides something, especially on the defensive side. Like there's something his shot was off, and coming off that shoulder injury, if they can just somehow get that right, like I just don't think he was the same Dean Wade that he was 2 years ago. I think it was probably the injury. I hope it was the injury. I hope he can get it back. But what just he can bring with that size and that length and that athleticism, like I love Dean Wade on this team. I don't want Dean Wade to go. Okay, so he's off. We don't have to worry about him. You know, Isaac Okoro is an easy answer for everybody to say, like, that's just the guy. Why they gave him that extension, we don't know. He is a above average defender, but if he can't, teams are standing there going, go ahead and shoot it. Please go ahead and shoot that corner three because we know you're not going to make it at a high enough clip for it to hurt us, and you're not getting enough minutes to be out there. Go ahead. So, like, I feel like that's too easy, low-hanging fruit. I do. Sam Merrill is a role that you need, just the sharpshooter, three-pointer. I think it'd be a modest contract. That'll be fine. We need to have this conversation about Ty Jerome. And it's hard because I just sit here and I ask myself the question, is that real? Now, it's hard because we have a big chunk of this season to see what we saw with Ty Jerome. And again, a former first-round pick. Guy's always had talent. He got, through how many injuries, how many surgeries, how many demotions to the G League, and here he is, okay? I'm not saying that those stories don't happen in basketball, and I'm not saying they don't happen in sports, right? Where here's this guy cast off and then all of a sudden rejuvenated and goes off and, wins all these things. I don't know, man. I really don't. And I'm sure that, and you can explain the rules better than me and probably explain them to me, but like basically since Ty Jerome is a Cavalier, there's some different rules with him with the apron. It's almost like the bird rights, right? With like, it's not as penalized.
They have what is called early bird rights on Ty Jerome. And I'm glad you brought this up because this is probably a good refresher for the audience too. But they have what is called early bird rights on Ty Jerome. They cannot just spend any amount of money on him. They can pay him, I believe it is 105% of the previous season's average salary. That puts them at about $14 million per year. They can start a contract for Ty Jerome at about $14 million for next season, I believe, which is coincidentally right about in line with the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, which I think the Cavs kind of feel like those are the sort of contract offers that they're going to be fighting with in order to retain Ty Jerome. And I do believe that they would like to retain Ty Jerome. So this is not a thing that they're in a spot where Ty is going to be able to go and they can't match it. Now, if somebody says, hey, Ty Jerome, here's $19 million, Cavs cannot pay that much. Now, the issue with this is how much money the Cavs will have to pay in taxes to keep Ty Jerome, because it's not as if, oh, you pay Ty Jerome $11 million a year, which I think is probably fair for the production that he provided last year. I think that's probably about where he is as a player. But it's not just that. It's, okay, well, for every dollar you spend when you're spending that much money, it's almost as if you're spending $5 million. So would you be willing to pay basically $50 million to keep Ty Jerome around next year? That is the question there.
Right, and they're already, 57 million of just luxury tax for next year, which is just absolutely insane. That's it, and I'm not going to include like Ty Jerome or Amani Bates or, Jalen Tyson or anything like that. Like of the actual bench rotation guys, DeAndre Hunter, I like that trade. I get that at the time people said, hey, he's going to put a cap constraint on you. I was okay with it. I'm fine with it. I don't want him going anywhere. And he's one of the players I'm probably most excited to see next year. But all that being said, I just think the Cavs have to try to answer an impossible question and ask, can you do this again? Can this be sustainable? Were you only this effective because Donovan Mitchell was on the floor with you, or because you were doing it in this type of offense? Are you going to basically get found out? And I don't have the answer to that. And I don't know if anybody does. So I get the optics of what it looks like if the Cavs can't keep Ty Jerome. And especially if they do feel like they're closer to trading Darius Garland than not, then you better hold on to Ty Jerome, because you got nobody to play point guard. Like, I like Craig Porter Jr., another one you could throw on that list of probably could have thrown in there. And I like CPJ, he's fine, but not a guy that down the stretch or in a playoffs I expect him getting minutes. That's just not going to happen. And the hard thing about the playoff thing for Ty Jerome is there are a lot of people that saw that and instantly want to make some sort of like declaration on him. I actually don't. I'm actually going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So here I am, like, casting doubt and shadow about I feel like he can be effective or keep doing what he's doing, but then give him a pass for the playoffs. It sounds kind of weird, like talking out of both sides of my mouth. But I just if honestly, if I had to pick one, it might actually be Ty Jerome. I just don't know. I don't know if he can do that all again, and if he can't, to lock yourself into not just that money, not just that tax, but to do it for so many years and then have that cat come out of the bag that it was a one-year flash in the pan and you are just stuck and you cannot get rid of that contract while being in the apron. That's a roll of the dice that I don't know if I'd shake that and throw that, man. I don't know if I would.
I do think it's a significant gamble. I do.
Yeah.
Because now, and this is so much of what the apron is, right? You get to the point where every move or non-move that the Cavs make for the next couple of years while they are an apron team, which, again, I expect them to be a second apron team this upcoming season. After that, who knows? But I expect them to be a second apron team this year. So every move, every non-move that Kobe Altman and the front office for the Cavs make is going to be heavily scrutinized by folks like myself and everybody else that talks about this Cavs team or writes about this Cavs team every day. Like, all of these moves are going to be looked at very heavily under a microscope because the margin for error is gone. You do not get there. There are no get out of jail free cards if you make a bad move. That is part of the beauty in some sense of the second apron, or maybe the danger of the second apron, is that if you screw up once, it hurts way more than just a normal screw up. Like it can take, I think, and we haven't seen enough of this because this CBA hasn't been around long enough, but we haven't seen enough of this to truly know. But I do think there's a chance that if you make a wrong move, like let's say the Cavs re-sign Ty Jerome for a 4-year, or we'll say the Isaac Okoro contract, 3 years, $33 million. That's the contract that Ty Jerome gets. And that contract is a bad contract. Like this year for Ty was not repeatable. It's not who he is. And I'm not saying I think this is going to be the case, but let's just hypothetically say that it was a flash in the pan. Ty Jerome had a magical season, and he goes back to being an NBA nobody next year. But you're on the hook to pay this guy $33 million over the next 3 years.
Or the injuries pop back up. Or
also fair. Probably should have said that because that's more fair and more likely, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But if that happens and you are on the hook for this money, it's probably going to take you 2 years to get out of that. Like it's probably going to take you two or three transaction cycles. If you count the summer as one and the trade deadline as another, it's probably going to take you 2 or 3 transaction cycles in order to right that wrong. And that is something that when you're talking about the timeline that these guys are on, I don't think you can afford to make a mistake that you kind of have to dig yourself out of over the course of 1.5 to 2 years.
Especially for Ty Jerome, for a guy that you're talking about being a bench guy, or is, I guess the ultimate question of we're just talking about like Ty Jerome is, do you see him as being just that pivotal piece or a piece that you can't find elsewhere, right? The thing that gets us emotional and probably would get Kobe Altman emotional is to say, well, we did find him, right? Like we did find him and we resurrected his career. And, I think most people remember, but if you don't, he was here all of last year too. He was just hurt the whole time, right?
You remember those 15 minutes he played?
Yeah, 15 minutes, and then what was another ankle surgery, right? And he's out, and then he comes back, and you see it. So it's hard because you're like, you feel some sort of debt of gratitude in a way, or you feel like Ty should feel like, no, we should get paid off because we took a chance on this guy. There's no bylaw in the NBA that says, oh, you get cap relief because you took a chance on a guy and he worked out. Congratulations. I don't know what you want to call that. It's just there's nothing there. So you got to sit down and say, is this a guy that we cannot recreate what we found in him? Is he a guy, like anything, that's going to be more valuable than his contract? You pay Donovan Mitchell $70 million a year. He's probably still more valuable than that. Evan Mobley, I think we're getting close to what his value is. Go down the list. If like anybody, that's any good team are a bunch of guys that are outperforming their contracts. Kobe Altman, take that, magic 8 ball, shake it. Is Ty Jerome going to outperform that contract over 3 years? And if you can't unequivocally say yes, then I think you're just backed into a place where you can't take a chance like that. It's just too penalty. It's your point, Danny. You're right, 100%. Like that's not something I do. I don't think that's a move that I would do. So I would probably say of all the bench guys, it'd have to be Ty.
Today's show brought to you by Olipop. Olipop, it's a new kind of soda. It's made for people who love the classic taste of soda, but want something that supports their health. With just 2 to 5 grams of sugar and 9 grams of prebiotic fiber in every can, Olipop is reimagining soda in a way that's better for your gut. Traditional sodas, they're loaded with sugar. And certainly, I am somebody guilty of loving soda. They've got like 39 grams in a regular Coke or 44 grams in an orange Fanta. Olipop flips that script with just a fraction of the sugar, no artificial sweeteners either, and gut-friendly ingredients like Oli Smart, a blend shown to support digestive and overall health. It's soda that tastes like the real thing, but actually does something good for your body. So Olipop sent me some. I've got a can right here. I've got the vintage cola look. I got to turn it that way so you can see the camera's backwards for me. But the vintage cola has become one of my go-tos. As I mentioned, big soda guy. I grew up drinking it. Maybe don't always feel the best after, but sometimes you want that. You have that craving, right? We've all been there before if you drink it like I do. So this has been able to replace that for me when I still get that craving, because of course I do. So now I crack open a can of this, so I still get that same vintage cola taste that I'm looking for that does taste so delicious, but I get the benefits that come with Olipop. I have a better drinking experience because I've got Olipop. It's the way to go. It's something that I've been doing now for about a week or so since it showed up on my doorstep. I couldn't be happier. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel great. You're going to enjoy it because it tastes excellent. So what you need to do, because I know you want to try it for free. You see, wow, you're talking really good about that. You probably want to have some, right? Well, you should. Well, you can get a free can of Olipop. Just buy any 2 cans in store and they'll reimburse you for one of them. Head to drinkolipop.com. That is drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA to claim your free can and find Olipop near you. Again, that is drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA. Today's show is also brought to you by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, and in practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. And at Epicor, the All-Stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. Epicor ERP solutions created by industry experts to help make every day easier. Seeing your whole supply chain is easier. Managing logistics is easier. Responding to price changes is easier. From small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global visions, they will equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most out of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier takes the lead. Discover your success at easierwithepicor.com. That is easierwithepicor.com. And I think that I can't say that you're wrong. I think that the Cavs would like to bring Ty Jerome back, but there were some interesting comments that Kobe Altman made at his end of season availability where he talked about developing guys and, that maybe Craig Porter Jr. is ready for that type of role. I don't know if he is or isn't. Maybe Jalen Tyson is ready to be a rotation player next year after being the 20th overall pick in the draft this year. Maybe he is or isn't. I think we'll find out more about that this summer when the Cavs head to Vegas next month. But if you don't re-sign somebody like Ty, if you let somebody like Sam Merrill walk, although I don't think Sam is going to really get a big contract in free agency. Like, I look at him as somebody that's you're close to 30. You've been a minimum contract guy. You might just be a minimum contract guy. And I think that would be best case scenario for the Cavs if they could keep him close to the minimum again. But if you don't re-sign these guys, they become difficult to replace. That's why I almost wonder if you want to shake up the bench, which I do think they need to do. I almost wonder if the best way to do it is by trading guys, because when you trade somebody, what happens? You get something back for them. You're not giving them, they're not walking away and you get nothing in return. Where if Ty Jerome leaves, you don't get anything back. It's not as if Ty Jerome goes and you get to use that money elsewhere. That's not how that works with where the Cavs are at financially. If Ty Jerome is gone, he is gone, and you have nothing to show for Ty Jerome having success in Cleveland. So that's why I kind of look at this and say, okay, what trades make sense there? Because I do think that shaking up the bench is something I would do. And I look at the first guy you named as somebody you wouldn't trade away as a guy that I do think they should consider trading away, and that's Dean White. I look at him and I look at Isaac Okoro as two guys that say, you know what? I think they're both good players. I really think Dean is a good player, but I don't know that their purpose on the Cavs is what it once was. And part of that is because the Cavs acquired DeAndre Hunter. Like, that is certainly part of it. Another part of it with Dean is I don't know that he shoots the basketball enough to be effective. It seems as if he's a little too tentative offensively. And when that's the case, you're not getting the most out of that spot. So I look at him, I look at Isaac Okoro, and I do say, okay, those guys are good players. I don't know that either of them are players that is going to help me win an NBA title next year. I also think that that could be a place to maybe get a little bit of financial relief if you do re-sign Ty Jerome. Like, say Ty Jerome gets that 3 years, $33 million contract that we just talked about. Well, you know whose contract is just that? Isaac Okoro. If you trade Isaac Okoro for something much, much cheaper, you're going to save a substantial amount of money, because then that money just becomes Ty Jerome's. Like, that is something I do think should be thought about.
It's a good point, too, to bring up about if I really ask myself, for these guys getting playoff minutes, I can't look at it in the regular season. I can't anymore look at it and say, he went off for 23 points and shot the lights out from beyond the arc in a game on February 19th. I got to look at it and ask myself, are these guys that are deserving and demanding playoff minutes? The answer for Isaac Okoro and Dean Wade, well, probably more Okoro than Wade, but certainly for Wade, it didn't seem that way. You had to put him out there. And you're right, DeAndre Hunter can play that role. I think he's a good defender. I wouldn't say great defender, but I think he's a solid defender. Talking about Hunter, and I think he can create maybe a little bit better than Wade. So I'll listen to that for sure. Yeah.
So I think that's sort of the direction you have to go in. I haven't really looked into Dean Wade trades partially because you look at what he makes and it's just not a lot of money. Like he is on a very, very team friendly contract. He's only making $6.6 million. And if you're the Cavs, you kind of almost wish man, I wish this guy was making $11 million just because it's a thing that's easier to put in a trade just because there are not very many players that are making that amount of money that are very good. So I look at maybe trading Isaac Okoro for somebody like Jonas Valanciunas out in Sacramento. And you brought up Malik Monk as somebody earlier. It's like, could that be something that the Cavs look into? Or I guess earlier, on yesterday's episode, because we're actually just all recording this on Wednesday night. And you can't do this if you're the Cavs as one trade because it doesn't put them below the second apron. But I do sit here and wonder, well, what if there's some sort of trade that the Cavs can split into two actual trades, but it gets them back a big man that I do think they need in Jonas Valanciunas, not because he's better than Jared Allen. He's not, but I think it makes things just work a little bit better for the Cavs. What if you do that as two separate trades? Do you feel better about who you are as a team? I think the answer might be yes.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's the balance of, and I talked about this on one of my shows. I go, Kobe Altman's literally like just straight down the line. And he can't decide if this trade is making a team better or if this is the right thing to do. I would hope that he leans towards pulling the trigger just based off of the change, just based off solely of something's got to flip here. Like other teams might say, we would lean towards not making it because we like the chemistry or we like this, we like that. No, as I'm sitting here saying, like, I don't know about rolling the dice on Ty Jerome. Like, that would actually be, if you got a trade, they're like, this is good value. This helps us with the apron. And you really are just on its fence and you can't tell. Do it. Do it. And that's, at this point, Kobe Altman has done so many great things. He's built an amazing basketball team. I really think offseason will define what he's going to be remembered as the Cavs general manager. And I guess, it's probably another topic for another day, another podcast, but the Donovan Mitchell trade. Yeah, he got it done, but it's like, we got to remember that Utah made him available. The Cavs happen to have those assets, right? Okay, that works out. I'm not saying they didn't do any work. I'm not saying they didn't deserve credit, but okay, pulled off the Jared Allen thing. Great. Evan Mobley fell in his lap. Great. Darius Garland, okay pick. That was not an easy one to hit, and you nailed it. Good. Okay, traded this, traded that, made all these things. Okay, fine. You've gotten to this point, and for me personally, this is not good enough. This offseason, and I would say maybe the next move he makes or doesn't make will tell the history for me of how I'm going to remember Kobe Altman or how I think I'm going to view him as a Cavs general manager. A lot of pressure. Good luck.
When do you think that? What offseason do you compare this to? Because this is a massive offseason for the Cavs.
Huge.
And I think it's the biggest one they've had in quite some time. I'm trying to think the last time they had an offseason this big.
Well, it's like you go back to the LeBron second years and let's just for argument's sake, LeBron is Donovan Mitchell. Okay, fine. And then that would make Evan Mobley probably Kyrie Irving. They're not trading away Evan Mobley. So it's like that makes a difference. Kevin Love would be Darius Garland. There really was probably no J.R. Smith, if you're going to say, okay, fine. All those guys were there. So you're talking about potentially trading those guys. The big LeBron moves was what? That one trade deadline, Isaiah Thomas, Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood, Larry Nance Jr., still somehow, I have no idea how it got to the finals.
They got to the finals because of LeBron James.
Well, yes, LeBron is how freaking nature. Yes. But it's like, okay, after the first year when they lost to the Warriors and everybody was hurt and Delvado drank too much coffee, that was more of just, okay, we'll have a good run. I'll never forget that. But like,
no one will.
He was in the hospital. I feel bad because I shouldn't make fun of him. The guy was in the hospital. But like, that was more of like, okay, we're going to run this back. Like, yay, like we'll do it again. Then you go win the title. And you're like, okay, now we're definitely bringing everybody back. Then you don't. Then you trade Kyrie. Then you're just like one last run and you're done. So I just don't think there's one there that's comparable. Before that, it was nothing but lottery luck and drafting the right guys, which he did. And the first LeBron go around, I mean, what? I can't think of one. The 2009 season, maybe after that.
When they acquired Shaq.
Yeah, Shaq. I mean, what? Like, that's, I really, you're right. I don't know, because it's a balance of the team success versus like we're talking about a monumental move. They don't match up to anything. Where like a lot of the other teams, they had a lot of success. And like, let's be honest, none of those were monumental moves other than Kyrie. And they're not doing that this offseason. So none of these are going to match where it's like you're having all this monumental success with LeBron. This team is not equaling that. But they might actually make a trade that is bigger than most of the moves that were made over the last 15 years outside of Kyrie and Kevin Love, probably. So it's like, and Donovan Mitchell, I guess, too, you had that too. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't know. I can't really think of a good comparable offseason with, on top of it, these restrictions that we've always had salary cap restrictions, luxury tax, things like that. But for this version of it to never have it quite like this too.
Right. It's very interesting. And I think a lot of this is going to happen over the next 3 weeks or so. And I think that's kind of what makes this exciting, because the NBA has not had it, just like as a league. I don't know the last time the NBA had an offseason like this, because of all the financial things that have been put in place across the league with the apron stuff and just so many big names that could be on the move and the ripple effects that they will have. But it's how the Cavs navigate this, I think, could lead to 5 or 6 years of being championship contenders, or you've got 1 or 2 more shots at this, and then that's that, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's in the NBA, dynasties are not meant to be around anymore, and even when they were, like, there were teams that were, you win a championship 2 years later, you're struggling, you're out of the playoffs, you're firing, that list of all the coaches of the years that have been fired and don't have that job anymore. Like, it's high turnover, and that's, I don't know if it's good or bad for the NBA. I'm sure Adam Silver would try to tell you it's good. But you are also in a spot now that the East is there. Boston, I think they're going to tank this year. Like, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, because, like, you got to be really,
they're not going to be a championship contender.
But they're not going to be a championship contender. Watch the Knicks make another knee-jerk reaction and be upset about Karl-Anthony Towns' defense and get rid of him. Please bring in Kevin Durant. That'd be hilarious. As much crap as I give the Pacers as we record this live, it's in the third quarter and they're leading the Thunder somehow, which is insane. But again, that Pacers team, they're going to have some changes coming up one way or another too. So it's like, the Bucks out, 76ers. I don't know if Embiid's ever even going to play again, let alone to the level that he is. Paul George is washed. Like, there's just this wide open gap now that's there, and it's there for the taking. And I think the Cavs missed a big opportunity by not seizing it this year, but you got to factor that in. It's not just about the timeline necessarily of, Donovan Mitchell and the rest of your guys. It's like the timeline in the East, and the timeline is like, you should be ascending right now, and you should be the team that's ready to take this over. You're steps ahead of Orlando. You're steps ahead of Detroit on their rebuilds and where you were at. Cavs aren't in a rebuild anymore, but it's like, if you talk about like stocks, right, which I know nothing about, but the Cavs stock was skyrocketing, and now it crashed. Celtics crashed. Knicks looked like it's going down. Pacers are going through the roof right now, but it's like just all these teams seem to not be going in the direction that you want. And if the Cavs, like probably a couple of them ones would say the same thing, if you just turn one thing and get you right back in the right direction, the whole East could be yours for at least a couple of years.
Today's show brought to you by FanDuel. NBA playoffs in full swing, NHL playoffs in full swing, baseball in full swing. We are only a couple of months away from football, but there is something every single night with FanDuel because whatever sport you're is, whether it's the NBA, maybe it's the NHL, maybe it's Major League Baseball, whatever sport, you are getting highlight-worthy performances every single night. And there's never been a better time to get in on the action than right now with FanDuel because FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off, first pitch, the puck drop, and afterwards. Live betting with FanDuel, one of the ways to do it. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. One of the things that's going on right now that makes FanDuel even better is that it's the perfect time to sign up. Now, why is it the perfect time to sign up? It's the perfect time to sign up because you place a $5 bet, just one $5 bet, $200 in bonus bets could be yours. If you place a $5 bet, that first $5 bet wins. $200 in bonus bets are yours. So head to FanDuel.com. That is FanDuel.com. Place your first $5 bet. If that $5 bet wins, as I said, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Okay, so last thing, and I did not ask you to put this together, but this is your comfort zone, so I'm confident you'll be able to pull it off, and you cannot let me down here.
For sure.
I have been constantly monitoring what our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook have to say about things. Yeah. And at some point in the near future, I would imagine in the next 3 or 4 weeks, they will come out with odds for 3 things. Who's going to win the NBA Finals in June of 2026? Who's going to win the Western Conference in June of 2026? And who is going to win the Eastern Conference in June of 2026? You just talked a lot about what the Eastern Conference looks like, the outlook of that conference, and I agree with a lot of what you said. As of right now, and of course, the odds are not out. I have nothing to fact check this against. This is going off the vibes of the sports bookmaker, Matt Fontana here. Where do you think the Cavs will be when it opens up on FanDuel for odds to win the Eastern Conference, both in the value, like what is the line, and where do they rank in the East?
My initial reaction when you said that was third.
Ooh.
Because I would imagine the Knicks will still be ahead of them. And probably the Pacers.
Really?
It would be hard to not say the Pacers are the favorite. I would probably put them, I'm assuming we're in the plus 400 range, if not higher, for even the favorite. So I would say the Cavs probably, I guess maybe not. Like, it's that far out because the championship, I would imagine they're plus like 1,000 for that. So I would say Cavs third in the East, give me plus 650.
Third in the East. That's I don't see that. And maybe I'm too optimistic. I think first. I think that they will be the favorites because really? I don't believe in New York. And I don't think the Knicks believe in New York because I don't think that you are 6 games away from winning the actual NBA championship and fire your coach if you actually think you're a championship caliber team. I don't think the Knicks think that the Knicks are a championship caliber team. Now, maybe that changes this offseason. I don't know what they can possibly do to change that, but I don't look at them as a team that could win the title. I think that, and part of the reason why I think this is if you were to all 5 days that the Cavs played the Pacers, the Cavs were favored in all 5 games in the playoffs. Vegas, despite the fact that, as you mentioned, we are recording this, it is 10:31 Wednesday, June 11th. The Pacers are trailing game 3, 85-84 against the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA Finals. Throughout that series, Vegas believed the Cavs were the better team. I think there might be some changes with the Pacers. I don't think they're going to look drastically different, but I think that the Cavs will be the favorites when those odds come out. I think they'll probably be around plus 550 or plus 600, but I don't think it's going to be like an overwhelming favorite. But I do think that the books will look at them and say that is the team that should win the East. And I really think that speaks to the opportunity that is in front of them.
Sure. I guess I am putting a little much stock into that series, which, you know what, you and I talked about it, not like on the podcast, just like between the three of us, honestly, with Nick, but like that the Cavs should have won that series. I'm going to be bothered about them not winning that series because they lost it. They lost that series. No offense to the Pacers, who I did think won that series against the Knicks. They won that series against the Bucks. I felt like the Cavs choking away game 2 the way they did, choking away some other opportunities, lost it. And call me sour grapes, tell me a hater, like, fine, I get it, okay, whatever. But sure, that's where you would then buy in and say they'd be fair with the Pacers. I think the Pacers are going to win another game in this series. And I still think Thunder are going to win, but they're going to win 2. And that would sway some people to lean towards them, not only just winning, but the fact that they won 2 games in the finals. That would go there. And then I gave the Knicks just because I think the books would actually want to just sucker some people in and steal some money from some Knicks fans. So I think it would go Pacers, Knicks, and then the Cavs for me. But, yeah, I think at this point, those – and even the Knicks I don't think would be – I'll tell you this, even though I have the Cavs third, I think there's only 2 answers to this question. I think it's the Pacers or the Cavs. There's in no world they're putting Boston 1. There's no world that they're putting Orlando 1. They're certainly not putting the 70. Literally, there are only 2 options to be number 1. I think it's either the Pacers or the Cavs. So yeah, I'll buy what you're selling. I'll buy what you're selling. You give me that number, I'll definitely take that at plus 600 for sure.
Well, I'm glad that you agree with me because you should always agree with me. Why? Because I'm right most of the time. But
well,
man,
we'll
thanks
start
so much
our
for
own
doing this,
sports
man.
book. I got time. You don't have much time, but I got time. So we'll go ahead and we'll start a sports book. We'll get it rolling, all right?
Yeah, maybe one day.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this Thursday and Friday. It's great getting to connect with you, do a couple episodes. Just make sure you tell everyone where they can find you these days.
Yeah, just follow Matt Fontana 83. Big Play Show goes out Thursday nights. We're live Fridays on The Rock. If you get the channel, The Rock, we're on 4 to 5 there. Filling in a lot coming up on 97.1 out of Columbus, so you can just search that for the stream. Same thing with ESPN Radio. A lot of different shows coming up here. But I usually tweet out when I'm on or where I'm at. So drop a follow if you can. I passed 20,000.
Oh, finally. Congratulations. Finally.
Yeah,
Took
everybody
you long
go
enough.
unfollow. Get back underneath the 20. But drop a follow and I'll tell everybody where I'm at.
Well, thank you for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. And as we get out of here on a Friday, thank you for spending the week with us. Make sure, as Matt said, you go unfollow Matt. Make sure you go follow this show wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else. And on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button, click subscribe, hit that notification bell. We'll be back next week with more Locked On Cavs.